highlights of this chapter, which is highest common factor and lowest common multiple. So we recall that a factor means you can be divided by that number. So 8 divided by 2 will give us a whole number 4. So this means that 8 is divisible by 2. So 2 is a factor of 8. Okay, so let's just write that down so that it's not too much for us to handle. So 8 divided by 2 gives us a whole number 4. This tells us that therefore 2 is a factor of 8, as it is divisible by 2. Okay, so moving on, on the other hand, multiple means you multiply 2 by a whole number. So let's say I want multiples of 2. Multiples of 2. This means I will multiply 2 by a whole number. So 2 times 1 gives you 2, 2 times 2 gives you 4, 2 times 3 gives you 6, and so on. Okay? So we are going to learn then what is the highest common factor and lowest common multiple. Okay, so to find the highest common factor, so common means to be the same and highest means the largest. Okay, so let's say we want to find the highest common factor of 9 and 18. So method 1 would be to list all the factors of 9 and 18. So for 9 it will be 1, 3, and 9. For 18, 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 18. So from here we can see that 1 is common, 3 is common, 9 is common. So 1, 3, and 9 are common factors. And out of these 3 common factors, the largest of them all would be 9. Okay. So 9 will be the highest common factor of 9 and 18. Okay, so therefore 9 is the greatest number which divides both 9 and 18. Okay, so this is just another way to phrase it. There are multiple ways to phrase it. Okay, sometimes highest common factor can also be called the greatest common divisor. Okay, but for our purpose, as long as you see a synonym to highest, you can tell that the question is trying to ask for HCF, highest common factor. On the other hand, or actually let's move on to example 8. So second method to find HCF of 546 and 1980. So these two numbers are very large, so you wouldn't want to go one by one and list out all the factors. So what we can do is use prime factorization. So 546 will be 2 times 3 times 7 times 13, and 1980 will be this. So for step 2, what we want to do is take the smallest power, take the common factors with the smallest power. So let's look at what are common prime factors. Let's look at the common prime factors first. We have 2, 2, 3, 3, 7, 5, 13, 11 are not common. Okay, so oops, 3. So HCF of 546 and 1980 will be 2. Okay, so 2 to the power of 1 or 2 to the power of 2 is larger. 2 to, smaller. So 2 to the power of 1 will be smaller. We want the smallest power. Okay, 3 to the power of 1 versus 3 to the power of 2. So same thing, it will be 3 to the power of 1. So the highest common factor is actually just 6. Okay, remember you need to give the number, you need to evaluate and give the number 6 because they didn't ask for the highest common factor in index notation form. Okay. Now let's move on to lowest common multiple. So similarly, method 1 will be to list the various multiples. So for example, multiple of 2 will be 2, 4, 6, and so on. Okay, it goes on forever. Multiples of 3 will be 3, 6, 9, and then forever. So common multiples of 2 and 3 will be, in this case, 6. And the lowest common multiple would be 6. Okay, of course, there will be more common multiples as you increase the number. So let's try that out. So 2, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So actually 6. Then we will have 12. We will have 18. So these are all common multiples. But the smallest one will be 6. Okay. Then let's look at the method 2. So we have 12 and 18. Okay, so first you prime factorize them similarly. Oops. Okay, then I will take all prime factors highest power. So in this case, we have 2, 3, and 5 three different prime factors. So what I do is I will take the highest power of each. So for 2, the highest power will be squared. For 3, both are to the power of 1, so I'll take 1. And then 5. Okay, so you can see 12 as having a prime factor 5 to the power of 0 here because anything to the power of 0 is 1. 1 to the power of 0 is 1. 0 to the power of 0 is 1. 5 to the power of 0 is 1. So you can help yourself visualize better. Okay, so it is as if both of them has the factor 5. But 12 has the factor 5 to the power of 0, which is actually 1. So highest power will then be 5 to the power 1. So this will give us 15 times 4, which will be 60. Okay, and that's it for lowest common factor and highest common factor and lowest common multiple. So then you can apply them to real life applications in the next video.